emotional hook maybe your mind has been carrying tomorrow, before today has even begun. You wake up, and before you have even fully opened your eyes, the thoughts are already there. What if something goes wrong? What if I make the wrong decision? What if they are upset with me? What if I fail? What if I disappoint someone? What if something happens that I haven't prepared for? And sometimes you don't even know exactly what you're worried about. There is simply a feeling that something isn't right. Something needs your attention. Something needs to be figured out. So your mind keeps searching. You may look completely fine from the outside. You go through your day. You answer messages. You work. You study. You take care of people. You laugh. You have conversations. And yet, somewhere underneath all of that, your mind is running quietly in the background, replaying, predicting, analyzing, preparing, checking, rechecking, trying to make sure nothing catches you by surprise. And perhaps the most exhausting part isn't even the individual thoughts. It's the fact that they never seem to stop. You solve one worry, and another one appears. You answer one question, and your mind creates 3 more. You finally convince yourself that everything is probably okay. And then a small voice asks, but what if it's not? Maybe you've tried to stop worrying. You've told yourself, just relax. Stop thinking about it. Everything is going to be fine. But telling an anxious mind to stop thinking can sometimes make you notice the thinking even more. So you try distraction. You stay busy. You scroll. You watch something. You talk to someone. You work late. You keep yourself occupied because being still gives your thoughts too much room. And then, eventually, you're exhausted. Your body wants rest, but your mind still wants answers. If this is where you are right now, I want you to hear something clearly. You are not weak because you worry. You are not failing because your mind feels restless. And you are not broken because you haven't figured out how to switch your thoughts off. Your mind may simply have become very practiced at looking for danger, very practiced at preparing, very practiced at imagining what could happen next. Perhaps it learned that being alert was safer than being relaxed. Perhaps you've spent so long trying to prevent problems that uncertainty itself has started to feel uncomfortable. And maybe you have forgotten what it feels like to simply exist in a moment without preparing for the next one. So, for these next few minutes, you don't have to solve your life. You don't have to make a decision. You don't have to figure out tomorrow. You don't have to answer every question your mind brings to you. You don't even have to feel completely calm. You can simply be here, exactly as you are. Let this moment be a small place where you don't have to perform. You don't have to be productive. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to pretend that everything is okay. You can simply arrive. And for now, that is enough. Find a position that feels comfortable. You may be sitting. You may be lying down. You may be listening before sleep. Whatever position you're in, allow yourself to settle into it. closing your eyes feels comfortable, you can gently close them. And if you would rather keep them open, that's perfectly okay. Nothing about this meditation needs to be forced. There is no perfect posture, no perfect breath, no perfect way to relax. Just allow your body to be supported. Notice the surface underneath you. Maybe it's a chair, maybe a bed, maybe a couch. Feel the places where your body is making contact with that surface. Your back, your legs, your feet, your hands. And notice something simple. You don't have to hold yourself up completely. The surface beneath you is already doing some of that work. So let yourself become a little heavier. Just a little. Take a slow breath in without forcing it, and gently breathe out. Again, slowly breathe in and slowly breathe out. You don't need to make the breath unusually deep. Just allow it to become natural, steady, and unhurried. Now bring your attention to your shoulders. Notice how they feel. Maybe they're slightly raised. Maybe they're tight. Maybe you've been carrying tension there without realizing it. Allow your shoulders to drop just a little. You don't need to force them down. Simply stop holding them up. Let gravity do some of the work. Now notice your jaw. Is it clenched? Are your teeth touching? If they are, allow a little space between them. Let your tongue rest comfortably. Relax the muscles around your mouth. Let your forehead soften, and allow the area around your eyes to become less tense. You may notice that your body doesn't immediately relax. That's okay. We're not trying to command the body into relaxation. We're simply giving it permission. There is a difference. You don't have to say, relax. You can say, you don't have to work so hard right now. Bring your attention to your hands. Notice your fingers. If they're curled tightly, let them loosen. Feel the weight of your hands. Then notice your arms, your elbows, your shoulders. Let them become heavier. Now bring your attention to your chest. Don't change anything. Just notice the movement of your breathing. Your chest gently rises and gently falls. Your stomach moves with each breath. Nothing dramatic, nothing complicated. Just the quiet movement of breathing. Now notice your legs, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet. Allow them to rest for just a few moments. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to move toward anything. You are already here. And if thoughts are still racing, let them race. You don't have to stop them. You may notice a thought about work. Let it be there. A thought about money. Let it be there. A thought about a relationship. Let it be there. A memory, a fear, a question. Let it be there. You don't need to solve it. Imagine each thought as something passing across the sky. You can notice it without chasing it. A thought appears, you notice, and gently you return to your breath. Another thought appears. You notice, and gently you return. That is enough. You don't need to succeed at meditation by having no thoughts. The practice is returning again and again and again. And perhaps for the first time today, you can give yourself permission to stop preparing. Nothing needs to happen in this exact moment. You don't need to know what tomorrow will bring. You don't need to predict every possible outcome. Right now, there is only this breath, this body, this moment. And as your body begins to settle, we can gently look at something important. Why does the mind worry so much in the first place? Why can a thought become so powerful? Why does the brain keep returning to the same possibilities, even when you already know that thinking about them isn't helping? Let's explore that gently. Constant worry can feel like something your mind is doing to you, but often worry begins with something your brain is trying to do for you. Protect you, prepare you, keep you safe. Your brain has systems designed to notice possible threats. That ability is incredibly important. If there is genuine danger around you, your brain needs to react quickly. It needs to notice. It needs to focus. It needs to prepare your body. It needs to help you respond. The problem is that the brain doesn't only respond to dangers happening right now. It can also respond to imagined possibilities. And that changes everything, because your mind can travel into the future and create an entire scenario before anything has actually happened. You can imagine a difficult conversation, feel the embarrassment before you've experienced it. Imagine losing something, feel the fear before you've lost it. Imagine failing, feel the disappointment before you've even tried. The event isn't happening, but your body can still react to the possibility. This is one reason constant worry can be so exhausting. Your mind is repeatedly asking, what could happen? And because the future contains endless possibilities, there is no final answer. You can think about one possibility, then another, and each answer creates another question. What if this happens? Okay, but what if that happens instead? What if I prepare for that? But what if something completely different happens? And suddenly, you're no longer solving a problem. You're trapped inside a loop. Worry can create the feeling that thinking harder will eventually produce certainty. But certainty is something life rarely gives us. You can plan carefully. You can make responsible decisions. You can learn from your mistakes. You can prepare for reasonable possibilities. But you cannot completely control what other people do. You cannot completely control the future. You cannot guarantee that every decision will work out. And when the mind demands certainty from an uncertain world, worry has an endless supply of material. There's also something very human about this. Sometimes we worry because we care deeply. You worry about your relationship because the relationship matters. You worry about your future because your future matters. You worry about your family because they matter. You worry about your work because you want to do well. You worry about making the wrong decision because you don't want to hurt yourself or someone else. So underneath some worries, there may be something you value. That doesn't mean every worry is useful. It simply means we don't need to hate ourselves for having them. Your mind may be trying to protect something important, but protection can become exhausting when it never receives permission to stand down. Imagine a security guard who has been told, "Keep watching. Something might happen." So the guard keeps watching. An hour passes, then another. Nothing happens, but the guard doesn't leave, because the instruction wasn't, "Watch until you know everything is safe." The instruction was simply, "Keep watching." Sometimes the mind operates in a similar way. It keeps scanning, checking, predicting, reviewing, looking for the one detail that will finally allow it to relax. But because life can never provide complete certainty, the mind keeps working. And this is where you can begin to practice something different. Not forcing yourself to stop worrying. Not arguing with every fearful thought. Not pretending that everything will always be okay. Instead, learning to notice the difference between a thought and a fact. A worry might say, "Something bad could happen." That is a possibility. It isn't necessarily a prediction. A worry might say, "They're probably angry with me." That is a thought. It isn't direct access to another person's mind. A worry might say, "I'm going to fail." That is fear speaking about the future. It is not a guaranteed outcome. This distinction may seem simple, but it can create space. And space is important. Because when you are completely fused with a thought, the thought feels like reality. But when you notice, "I'm having the thought that something might go wrong," something changes. You are still aware of the thought, but you're no longer completely inside it. You are observing it. This is one of the foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness doesn't require an empty mind. It doesn't ask you to become someone who never worries. It simply teaches you to notice what is happening without automatically following it. A thought appears. You recognize it. A feeling appears. You recognize it. A sensation appears. You recognize it. And then you return to the present, again and again and again. Think about how often your mind leaves the present. It goes backward, into conversations that already happened. It goes forward, into situations that haven't happened yet. It revisits yesterday. It rehearses tomorrow. And meanwhile, this moment quietly passes. The breath you're taking right now will never happen again in exactly the same way. The sounds around you, the position of your body, the temperature of the room, the feeling of the surface underneath you, all of it is happening now. And the mind may be somewhere else. So perhaps you don't need to solve the future tonight. Perhaps you only need to come back to the present. Not because the future doesn't matter, but because you can only live in the present. You can plan for tomorrow, when tomorrow arrives. You can respond to a problem, when there is actually a problem to respond to. And you can make decisions when you have enough information to make them. You don't have to mentally experience every possible future before you are allowed to rest. There is another reason worry can become persistent. Sometimes the mind learns that worrying feels productive, even when it isn't. You may think, at least I'm thinking about it. At least I'm preparing. At least I'm doing something. And that feeling of mental activity can make it difficult to stop, because stopping can feel irresponsible. Rest can feel like carelessness. Not worrying can feel like you're missing something. But rest is not the same as neglect, and uncertainty is not the same as danger. You can care deeply without constantly suffering. You can prepare when preparation is useful, and rest when there is nothing you can do right now. This is where self-compassion becomes important. Imagine someone you love coming to you and saying, "I can't stop worrying. My mind keeps imagining everything going wrong. I'm exhausted. I don't know how to make it stop." Would you look at them and say, "You're weak. Get over it. Why can't you control yourself?" Probably not. You would probably soften. You might say, "You're tired. You've been carrying a lot. You don't have to solve everything tonight." And perhaps you deserve to speak to yourself with that same gentleness. Not because you need constant reassurance, but because harshness rarely creates the sense of safety that an overwhelmed mind is looking for. So, if your mind has been worrying for hours, you don't have to punish it. You can acknowledge it. Thank you for trying to protect me. And right now, I am here. Right now, I don't need to solve this. Notice what happens when you stop fighting the existence of the worry. You may still feel it. That's okay. The goal isn't immediate disappearance. The goal is a different relationship with it. A worry can be present without controlling the entire room. A thought can be loud without being the boss. A feeling can be uncomfortable without being dangerous. And you can learn to stay beside yourself while the feeling moves through you. For now, don't try to force your mind into silence. Just become curious. What happens when you notice a worry? And don't immediately follow it. What happens when you feel uncertainty? And don't rush to eliminate it. What happens when you allow yourself to be here, even without knowing exactly what comes next? You don't have to answer those questions yet. Simply let them stay with you. Because in the next part, we are going to gently turn toward the worries themselves, not to analyze every detail, not to make them bigger, but to finally listen to what your mind has been carrying with a little more patience and a little less fear. For now, take one slow breath and remind yourself, you are here. You are breathing. You don't have to solve everything in this moment. Let that be enough. Guided reflection, and now, without trying to change anything, begin to gently notice what your mind has been carrying. You don't need to search for the biggest worry. You don't need to find the perfect answer. Just allow one concern to come forward naturally. Maybe it has been sitting in the background all day. Maybe it appears the moment you wake up. Maybe it arrives when everything around you becomes quiet. Whatever comes, let it come. And when you notice it, don't immediately try to solve it. Just observe it. What is the worry saying? What words does your mind use? Maybe it says, what if I fail? What if they leave? What if I disappoint someone? What if I make the wrong choice? What if something happens to the people I love? What if I never figure things out? Or perhaps your worry doesn't speak in complete sentences. Maybe it's simply a feeling, a tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, a restless energy in your body, a sense that you need to do something, even though you don't know what that something is. Just notice. There is no need to judge yourself for what appears. You are not being asked to get rid of the worry. You are learning how to sit beside it. Now, gently ask yourself, what am I afraid might happen? Don't force an answer. Give your mind a few moments. Maybe an answer comes immediately. Maybe nothing comes. Either is okay. And if an answer appears, notice it without arguing. You don't need to tell yourself, that's ridiculous. You don't need to say, that could never happen. And you don't need to make the fear bigger. Simply recognize, this is what my mind is afraid of. Now ask another question. What am I trying to control? Maybe it's another person's feelings. Maybe it's an outcome. Maybe it's your future. Maybe it's how someone sees you. Maybe it's something that has already happened. Maybe you're trying to control whether you will ever experience disappointment again. Just notice. Sometimes constant worry isn't really about the future. Sometimes it's an attempt to protect ourselves from feelings we don't want to experience. Fear, embarrassment, rejection, failure, grief, regret, disappointment. And perhaps your mind believes that if it can predict the pain, it can prevent you from feeling it. But you don't have to solve that right now. Just notice. Now ask yourself, what would I be afraid of feeling if this worry came true? Take your time. Maybe it's not the event itself. Maybe you're afraid of feeling helpless, or alone, or ashamed, or powerless, or not good enough, or not being able to handle what comes next. If something like that appears, be gentle with yourself. There is nothing wrong with having a vulnerable human response. Now, bring your attention back to your breathing. Inhale slowly and exhale gently. You may notice that even thinking about your worries creates physical tension. Perhaps your shoulders tighten, your stomach contracts, your jaw becomes tense, your breathing changes. This is why we are not going to spend the rest of this meditation analyzing your worries. We are going to practice another possibility, feeling the worry without becoming the worry, noticing fear without becoming consumed by fear, allowing uncertainty without demanding an immediate answer. Imagine for a moment that your worry is sitting beside you, not in front of you, not above you, not controlling you, simply sitting beside you. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to convince it to leave. You can simply say, I know you're here. Maybe your mind has been trying to protect you for a very long time. Maybe it has been shouting because it believes shouting is the only way you'll listen. So instead of shouting back, You listen quietly. What are you trying to protect me from? You don't need a perfect answer. Maybe your mind says pain. Maybe it says failure. Maybe it says being rejected. Maybe it says nothing at all. Just stay here. And now, notice something. You are the one observing the worry, which means there is a part of you that is larger than the worry. The worry is something you're experiencing. It is not the entirety of who you are. You can have anxious thoughts and still be you. You can feel uncertain and still be you. You can have a difficult day and still be worthy of kindness. Let that idea settle gently. You don't need to become a different person before you deserve peace. You don't need to solve every problem before you deserve rest. You don't need to know what happens next before you are allowed to breathe. And now, we begin to move deeper. Bring your attention back to the breath, not because the breath needs to change, but because it is something that is happening now, right here, without asking your permission, without requiring you to understand it. Breathing in, breathing out. Feel the air entering your body. Notice the subtle movement, the coolness as you breathe in, the warmth as you breathe out. You don't need to create a special experience. Just notice what is already here. And now imagine that you are sitting somewhere quiet, a place where you don't have to perform, a place where nobody is asking anything from you. There is no deadline here, no notification, no unfinished conversation, no decision waiting for you, just space. Imagine the air around you. Perhaps it is cool and gentle. Perhaps you can hear leaves moving somewhere nearby. Maybe there is a soft breeze. Maybe the sky is wide and open above you. You don't need to see every detail. Let your mind create whatever feels peaceful. You are sitting there, and for once, you are not trying to predict what happens next. You are simply watching the world exist. The breeze moves. The leaves move. Clouds pass across the sky. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is demanding an answer. And you begin to notice. The world continues moving without asking you to control every part of it. A thought appears. What if something goes wrong? Notice it. And imagine placing that thought gently on a leaf. The leaf rests on a slow-moving stream. You don't push it. You don't chase it. You simply watch it move away. Another thought appears. What if I make the wrong decision? Again, place it on another leaf. Watch it float. You don't have to answer. You don't have to debate. You don't have to prove the thought wrong. You simply allow it to pass. Perhaps another worry appears. What if I can't handle what comes next? Place that thought on the water too, and watch, slowly. It moves farther away, not because you've solved it, but because you are practicing not holding it. Now notice something important. The stream doesn't need to stop flowing for you to feel peaceful. The thoughts don't need to disappear. The mind doesn't need to become perfectly quiet. Peace can exist while thoughts are moving. That is an important distinction. You can have thoughts and still breathe. You can feel uncertainty and still sit quietly. You can experience fear and still remain present. You don't have to eliminate every uncomfortable experience before you can experience a moment of safety. Now, gently bring your awareness back to your body. Feel the weight of your body again. Notice the surface beneath you. Notice your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your chest, your stomach, your legs, your feet. You are here. Now notice your breathing without controlling it. Let the breath come naturally. Let it leave naturally. Imagine each exhale creating just a little more room inside you. Not empty space, just room. Room for thoughts. Room for feelings. Room for uncertainty. Room for yourself. Bring your attention to your forehead. Imagine the tension, they're softening. Let your eyebrows relax. Let the muscles around your eyes become heavy. Allow your cheeks to soften, your jaw, your tongue, your throat. Now move your awareness down into your shoulders. Imagine the weight you've been carrying beginning to loosen, not disappearing completely, just loosening, as though someone has gently untied a knot. Let that softness travel down your arms, into your elbows, your wrists, your hands, your fingers. You don't need to hold anything right now. Let your hands rest. Now bring your attention to your chest. Perhaps you notice the heartbeat. Perhaps you notice the rise and fall of breathing. Maybe there is still tension. That's okay. You don't have to force it away. Instead, silently say, I can allow this moment to be exactly as it is. Notice how different that feels from saying, I need to calm down. One is pressure. The other is permission. You are giving yourself permission to experience this moment without demanding a different one. Now move your attention to your stomach. If you feel tension there, don't fight it. Imagine your breath moving gently toward that area, not forcing, not pushing, just creating space. As you exhale, allow the muscles to soften as much as they naturally want to. Now your hips, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet. Let every part of your body become a little heavier. The ground is beneath you. The surface is supporting you. You don't have to hold everything alone. Now imagine that your body is resting beside a quiet lake. The water is mostly still. There may be tiny ripples moving across the surface. You notice them. You don't try to stop them. The water doesn't need to be perfectly still to be peaceful, and neither do you. Let that image stay with you. A quiet lake, a soft breeze, open space, your body resting, your breathing moving naturally. And somewhere in the distance, there is no emergency, no demand, no question you must answer right now, just this moment. Now imagine placing all the things you've been worrying about beside you, not throwing them away, not pretending they don't matter, just placing them down temporarily. Your responsibilities, your unanswered questions, your conversations, your decisions, your fears about tomorrow. Put them beside you, one by one. You can pick them up again later. They are not disappearing. You are simply not carrying them for these few moments. Let your shoulders understand what that means. Let your chest understand. Let your mind understand. You are allowed to put something down, even if only temporarily. And now, bring one hand gently to your chest if that feels comfortable. Feel the warmth of your hand. Feel the contact. And imagine speaking to yourself in the same way you would speak to someone you deeply care about. Not with exaggerated positivity, not with empty reassurance, just with honesty and kindness. Silently say, I know this has been difficult. I know you've been trying to protect yourself. You don't have to solve everything tonight. You can rest for a moment. Notice what happens inside you. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe you feel emotional. Maybe you feel resistance. Maybe your mind immediately says, but I still have things to worry about. That's okay. You don't have to argue with that voice. Just notice it and return to the hand on your chest. Return to the breath. Return to the present. Now imagine that each breath is creating a little distance between you and the constant stream of thoughts. Not a huge distance, just enough to see clearly. The thought is there. You are here. The fear is there. You are here. The uncertainty is there. You are here. And perhaps this is what you have been missing. Not another answer. Not another prediction. Not another attempt to control the future. But a little space between you and everything your mind is telling you. Stay here for a few moments. Let the breath move naturally. Let the body rest. Let the thoughts come and go. Nothing needs to be forced. Nothing needs to be perfect. And as you sit beside this quiet inner space, begin to notice something else. For all the time you've spent worrying about what might happen, there is one thing you have rarely needed to worry about. This breath. It is happening now. This moment. It is already here. And for these few minutes, you don't need to live inside every possible future. You can live here, just now, the next breath, and then the next, and the next. Let the future remain where it belongs, in the future. Let the past remain where it belongs, in the past. And gently come home to this moment. Guided meditation, continued and gently. Come home to this moment. Feel the simple reality of being here. Your body is resting. Your breath is moving. The room around you is continuing to exist. Nothing needs to be solved in this exact second. Let yourself stay here for a little longer. Now imagine that you are standing at the edge of a quiet path. It is early morning. The air is cool, but comfortable. There is soft light spreading across the sky. The path ahead is not completely visible. You can see a little way forward, but not the entire journey. And perhaps that feels familiar, because that is what life is like. You can see today. You can make plans for tomorrow, but you cannot see every turn waiting beyond it. For someone who worries constantly, that uncertainty can feel frightening. The mind wants to see the whole road. It wants guarantees. It wants to know where every turn leads. But standing here, you begin to notice something. You don't actually need to see the entire path. You only need to see enough for the next step. Take a slow breath and imagine taking one gentle step forward. Not 10 steps, not the whole journey, just one. Perhaps you've been asking yourself questions that are much bigger than today can answer. What will happen with my life? Will everything work out? Will I make the right decision? Will I always feel this way? And those questions can become overwhelming because they ask your mind to predict an entire future. So for now, make the question smaller. Not what will happen, but what is needed right now. Maybe right now, what is needed is rest. Maybe it is one honest conversation. Maybe it is finishing one small task. Maybe it is simply breathing. You don't have to know the whole road. You only need the next step. Now imagine the path becoming softer beneath your feet. With every step, you leave behind one small piece of unnecessary mental effort. You don't abandon your responsibilities. You don't stop caring. You simply stop carrying every possible outcome at the same time. One step, one breath, one moment. As you continue walking, notice something beside the path. A small wooden bench. You sit down, and for a moment, you watch the world move without you controlling it. The clouds move. The breeze moves through the trees. Light changes across the ground. Perhaps birds move somewhere in the distance. Everything is happening without your supervision, and nothing is asking you to manage it. Notice how strange that may feel. If you are used to constant worry, doing nothing can feel uncomfortable. Your mind may immediately produce another thought. You should be doing something. Don't relax yet. You'll forget something. Think about it one more time. If that happens, smile gently at the mind, not because the worry is silly, but because you recognize the pattern. There you are again. And instead of following it, you return to the world around you, the breeze, the trees, the ground beneath you, your breath, the present. This is how you begin to build a different relationship with worry, not by defeating it, by refusing to automatically follow it. The mind may offer you a thought. You don't have to climb inside it. It may offer you a frightening possibility. You don't have to turn it into a prediction. It may offer you a question. You don't have to answer immediately. Let that become your practice. A thought is a thought. A possibility is a possibility. A feeling is a feeling. And you are the person noticing them. Now slowly bring your attention back to your body. Feel the surface beneath you. Notice your breathing. And notice your face. Let your expression soften. Imagine that you don't have to look prepared right now. You don't have to look strong. You don't have to look okay for anyone. You can simply rest. Take a gentle breath in and slowly let it go. Now imagine breathing into the space around your heart, not trying to change the heart, just noticing the area. Perhaps there is sadness there, perhaps fear, perhaps exhaustion, perhaps nothing at all. Whatever is present, let it be present. You don't have to force yourself to feel peaceful. Sometimes the most peaceful thing you can do is stop fighting what you already feel. If sadness is here, let sadness be here. If fear is here, let fear be here. If your mind is restless, let the mind be restless. You can be kind to yourself without first becoming calm. That matters. Now silently say, I don't have to be free of worry to take care of myself. I can feel uncertain and still move gently. I can have difficult thoughts without believing every thought. I can pause before I respond. Let those words settle. No need to repeat them again and again. Just notice which one feels true enough to keep. Maybe none of them feel true yet. That's okay. You don't have to force belief. This is not about convincing yourself that everything is wonderful. It's about making room for a more balanced possibility. Now, imagine your worries as clouds moving across a wide sky. Some clouds are small, some are dark, some are large enough to cover everything for a while. But the sky doesn't become the cloud. The sky remains, and the clouds move. Your mind may have difficult thoughts, but you are not only those thoughts. Your body may experience anxiety, but you are not only that sensation. You may have a difficult season, but you are not only this moment in your life. There is more space within you than the worry allows you to notice. Stay with that for a few breaths. Now, bring awareness to your breathing again. Inhale and exhale. Notice the beginning of the breath, the middle, and the end. Then, notice the small pause before the next breath naturally begins. You don't have to make that pause longer. Just notice it. That tiny space between one breath and another. There is something beautiful about that space. Nothing is happening there that needs your control. You are simply waiting, and then the next breath arrives. Maybe life can sometimes be approached this way, not needing every answer before the next moment arrives, not needing to know everything, allowing one moment to finish before demanding the next one. Take another breath, and as you breathe out, imagine releasing the question, what if, just for now? What if I fail? What if they leave? What if something goes wrong? What if I regret this? What if tomorrow is difficult? You don't need to answer. Let the questions float away and replace them with something much simpler. What is happening right now? Right now. You are breathing right now. Your body is supported right now. You are listening right now. You are allowed to rest. And right now, you do not need to solve tomorrow. Let yourself feel the difference. A deeper release. Now imagine taking all the worries you've been carrying and placing them into a small box, not permanently, just for tonight, or for the next hour, or even for the next few minutes. Imagine opening the box, one worry at a time. The worry about work. Place it inside. The worry about money. Place it inside. The worry about someone you love. Place it inside the worry about your future. Place it inside the mistake you keep replaying. Place it inside the conversation you keep analyzing. Place it inside the fear that you're falling behind. Place it inside. There may be more. Take your time. You don't have to name every worry. Just notice what your mind is carrying and place it down. Close the box. You are not denying these things. You are simply deciding that you don't have to carry them in your body every second. You can return to them later. If action is needed, you can take action. If a conversation needs to happen, you can have it. If a decision needs to be made, you can make it. But not every problem requires your attention every minute. Place the box somewhere safe and step away. Notice how your body feels when your attention is no longer wrapped around every possibility. Maybe there is still tension. That's okay. Maybe there is only a tiny amount of relief. That's enough. Even a tiny amount of relief matters. Now imagine yourself standing beneath a wide evening sky. The day is becoming quieter. The light is soft. You can hear the distant sounds of the world, but nothing is demanding your attention. You simply stand there, breathing, existing, being, and perhaps you realize you have spent so much time asking whether you are doing enough that you've forgotten to notice how much you've already carried. You have made it through uncertain days. You have survived moments you once thought you couldn't handle. You have experienced disappointment, change, loss, confusion, fear, and somehow you kept going. Not perfectly, not without struggle, but you kept going. This isn't a promise that nothing difficult will ever happen again. It is something more realistic, a reminder that you don't need to predict every difficulty in order to meet life. You can meet one moment when it arrives, then another, and maybe that is enough. Returning to the present slowly. Bring your attention back to the room around you. Notice the sounds, the temperature, the surface beneath your body. Notice your hands, your feet, your face. Take a gentle breath. If your eyes are closed, you can keep them closed for a little longer. There is no rush. Allow yourself to remain in this quiet space. Before we finish, there is one simple practice I want you to take with you. Not 10 things, not a complicated routine, just one. The next time you notice yourself worrying, pause. Don't immediately follow the thought. Take one slow breath and ask yourself, is there something I can do about this right now? If the answer is yes, identify the smallest useful action, not the entire solution, just the next action. Maybe you need to send an email, write something down, make a phone call, set a reminder, have a conversation. Whatever the appropriate next step is, take that step when you can. Then allow yourself to stop mentally rehearsing the problem. But if the answer is no, if there is genuinely nothing you can do right now, say quietly to yourself, not now. I can return to this when action is possible. Then bring your attention back to something real in the present. Your breath, your feet on the floor, the sensation of your hands, the sounds around you, anything that brings you out of the imagined future and back into the current moment. This practice works with an important distinction. Some worries are problems that need action. Others are uncertainties that cannot be solved right now. You don't have to treat both in the same way, and practice this gently, not as another rule you can fail, not as another thing you have to do perfectly, just as a small doorway back to the present. Whenever your mind starts asking, "What if?" pause, breathe, and ask, "Is there something I can do right now?" If there is, take the next small step. If there isn't, let it be not now. You can come back to this practice tomorrow, and the day after that, one worry at a time, one breath at a time. And now, let yourself rest for a few final moments. You don't need to improve anything. You don't need to become more positive. You don't need to make yourself feel completely peaceful. Just notice where you are. Maybe your mind is quieter. Maybe it isn't. Maybe you feel lighter. Maybe only slightly. Maybe you still have worries waiting for you. That's okay. Meditation isn't about becoming someone who never worries. It's about remembering that worry doesn't have to occupy every corner of your attention. You can care without constantly carrying. You can prepare without constantly predicting. You can love people without controlling every outcome. You can face uncertainty without needing an answer every second. And when your mind wanders into tomorrow, you can gently bring it home, not with force, not with frustration, just with patience. There may always be things you cannot control. There may always be unanswered questions. There may always be some uncertainty waiting somewhere ahead. But you don't have to live through those moments before they arrive. You can meet them when they come. Today, you only need today. This breath, you only need this breath. This moment, you only need this moment. And if the worries return later tonight, don't be angry with yourself. You can simply notice them. There is worry. Take a breath. Is there something I can do right now? If yes, take one small step. If no, not now. And return to your life. Return to your breath. Return to the person standing here, right now. You don't have to know exactly how everything will unfold. You don't have to have every answer. You don't have to be completely fearless. You only need enough trust to take the next moment as it comes. So let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw loosen. Take one final slow breath in and gently breathe out. And remember, you do not have to solve tomorrow to deserve peace today. Stay here for another breath. And when you're ready, slowly return to your surroundings. Open your eyes if they were closed. Move gently. Take your time and carry only what belongs to this moment. Everything else can wait.